Long before he wore a crown, David was a shepherd boy in the hills of Bethlehem, the youngest son of Jesse, often overlooked and left to tend the flocks. He wasn't the strongest, tallest, or most obvious choice when the prophet Samuel visited Jesse's home to anoint Israel's next king. Yet it was David whom God had chosen, a boy with a heart aligned to heaven. With oil poured on his head and the Spirit of the Lord rushing upon him, David was anointed in secret. But the road to royalty was not immediate. David returned to his sheep, practicing his harp, composing psalms, and slaying lions and bears to protect his flock, unknowingly being prepared for the great battles to come. That preparation was tested when the Philistine army sent out a giant named Goliath to taunt the armies of Israel. Day after day, Goliath challenged them, and no one dared step forward. Then came David, bringing food to his older brothers at the front lines. Outraged by Goliath's defiance of God, David volunteered to face him, not with sword or spear, but with a sling, 5 stones, and unshakable faith. With one strike to the forehead, the giant fell, and David became a national hero overnight. King Saul initially welcomed David into his court, making him a military commander and giving him his daughter Michal in marriage. But Saul's admiration quickly turned to jealousy as David's popularity grew. Songs like "Saul has slain his thousands, but David his tens of thousands" stirred envy in Saul's heart. He turned against David, attempting to kill him multiple times. Thus began David's years as a fugitive. He fled into the wilderness, hiding in caves, deserts, and among foreign enemies. Yet even while hunted, David's integrity remained. Twice he had the chance to kill Saul, once in a cave, once in a camp, but refused, saying, "I will not lift my hand against the Lord's anointed." His mercy and restraint earned him loyalty from outcasts and warriors who would become his mighty men. When Saul and his son Jonathan, David's dearest friend, were killed in battle, David mourned deeply. He composed a lament for them, honoring even the man who had tried to kill him. After Saul's death, David was made king over Judah, and 7 years later he was crowned king over all Israel. As king, David conquered Jerusalem and made it the capital, bringing the Ark of the Covenant there in a triumphant and joyful procession. He danced before the Lord in worship, unashamed and exuberant, showing that though he was king, he was still a servant of God. Under his leadership, Israel expanded its borders and entered a golden age of military success and spiritual revival. One evening, David looked out from his rooftop and saw Bathsheba bathing. Though she was married to Uriah, a loyal soldier, David summoned her and lay with her. When she became pregnant, he tried to cover it up by bringing Uriah home from war. But Uriah, loyal to his comrades, refused to enjoy the comforts of home while others were on the battlefield. David then arranged Uriah's death by placing him in the front lines and having the army pull back. Once Uriah was dead, David took Bathsheba as his wife. It seemed he had hidden his sin but nothing is hidden from God. The prophet Nathan confronted David with a parable about a rich man stealing a poor man's only lamb. David, enraged, condemned the man, until Nathan declared, "You are that man." Struck with guilt, David confessed his sin and repented deeply. His prayer, recorded in Psalm 51, is one of the Bible's most profound cries for mercy. "Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me." Though forgiven, David's sin brought consequences. The child born to him and Bathsheba died. His household began to unravel. His son Amnon assaulted his half-sister Tamar. In revenge, Absalom killed Amnon, then fled. Years later, Absalom returned only to betray David and lead a rebellion. David fled Jerusalem barefoot and weeping as his own son seized the throne. Even in defeat, David's heart stayed fixed on God. When Absalom was killed in battle, David didn't celebrate. Instead, he cried out in agony, "O Absalom, my son, my son! Would I had died instead of you!" It was a king's heartbreak, but also a father's grief. David returned to the throne, but never fully recovered from the turmoil within his family. Yet his final years were marked by preparation for the future. Before his death, David instructed Solomon, "Be strong and courageous, walk in his ways, keep his commands." These words reflected David's life, not perfect, but purposeful, not without failure, but always returning to God. David ruled for 40 years. When he died, the people mourned the passing of not just a king, but a warrior, a worshiper, and a man who gave Israel its heart. The Star of David became a national symbol. Most importantly, it was from David's line that the Messiah would one day come, Jesus Christ, referred to as the Son of David.